we're back in the hangar today. We have a very special treat. We have the Black Hawk's T701 Delta engines in their PMI process. Take a dive into what all it takes to look at and inspect an engine. The Black Hawk's T701 Delta engine is part of a series of GE's T700s used in all the Army's Black Hawks, Apaches, the Marines Seahawk, as well as many other U.S. Army or U.S. military aircraft. Today we're going to dive in with John from Timberline, who's here working on the Black Hawk, and go through the PMI process of the engine, and you'll get to see inside of it and see more of an engine than you probably can see anywhere else, even whether that's a car engine or it is for an aircraft, which is something really cool, really interesting that we don't get to see here too often, so we thought we'd bring it to you guys.
So this is the T700-GE-701D Black Hawk engine. What we're doing is it's called a PMI. We're doing both a PMI1 and a PMI2. We do a PMI every 480 hours. We do a PMI1 at 480 and then a PMI2 at 960 and vice versa. And during the PMI we do such things as take the IPS blower off, check it, drain the oil out of the starter, check it, make sure there's nothing bad with it. There's a bunch of screens up in the front, and each one of these screens corresponds with a different spot in the engine. Different bearings. Those little screens are about this long, and you pull them out. If you find little metal chips or something like that in there, well, then you'll know that there's, say, for instance, a number 4 bearing or something like that going bad. So that's really handy. I've worked on quite a few different engines, and whoever's decided to put the accessory pack on the top of this engine versus on the bottom, like most engines, deserves a medal.
Does it just make it easier for the access and everything?
Yeah, a lot of other engines, it's all underneath here, and you're doing stuff by braille. It's kind of difficult. So one of the other things we're doing on this engine, we drain the oil. One of the other things we do is a hot section inspection. And the reason we do that is the hot sections, they build up what's called silica, and it's just a really fine powder. And I'll show you in a minute what the stage 1 wheel looks like and why that powder is important to get out of there. But what we do is we pull the power to this engine's modular, which is really cool also. So we pull the power turbine module off, and that gives us access to the hot section, which is in here, which is 2 turbine wheels and a couple of nozzles. And we'll pull that hot section out and clean it, inspect it, and put it all back together. We just started putting this one back together today. And you can see the difference here. This one's got the power turbine module off, it's got the hot section out, the burner can's out, IPS blower and starter are both off.
Now with that silica you were talking about, does that mean you inspect it in case for cracks inside or anything?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's why you clean it out and make sure.
For cracks, and the silica, these engines, if you look at the stage 1 turbine wheel, and I'll show you one over there, there's little tiny micro holes in the trailing edges of the blades, and it affects, so that's for cooling, and they can get plugged up with that silica, and then that affects performance, and then so you get a little bit more heat, which makes parts wear out a little bit quicker. I've got actually got a pile of silica that I can took out of this one. This is what it looks like. It's very fine, almost like talc.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your camera, I can show you on here if you like. We'll show you.
And so this is the hot section.
This is the hot section. This is your power turbine module.
Yep.
Your combustion can. That's where the fire happens. And this is your stage 1 nozzle, or stage 1 turbine wheel. And if you can see on the trailing edge of these blades, all these little super tiny holes, can your camera pick that up?
Yeah, it gets barely
And
gets
then
on
there's holes there. And there's holes in the end of the blades. And all that's for cooling. And what happens is that silica builds up in here. And it builds up all in there and inside. So a timberline, we take it apart every 480 hours and do a hot section inspection.
Is that typically standard or like?
No, it's not standard. You can do this is called off-wing hot section cleaning. You can do on-wing hot section cleaning where you hook up hose to the igniter ports, and just spray cleaner in there.
Yeah.
But it never gets it all.
It's not as effective.
No, it's not nearly as effective. And we found, you know, for the longevity of the engines, it's worth it to take the extra time and do it this way and just take it all out, take it apart.
Yeah.
You can have this thing apart in a day. It's super easy to take apart.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too, just from what's over here, it doesn't look like you are too complicated. Like,
no, it really isn't. They made it, like I said, it's modular. And the guys in the Army, you know, they're 19, 20-year-old guys that are working on these things. Okay, this one's been cleaned. A little round gray this one now. And so that's your stage 1 wheel, stage 1 nozzle, second stage wheel, second stage nozzle, and then power turbine. And this thing's spinning at 20,900 RPM. Wow. Yeah. And that translates. So this goes all the way through the center of the engine. And comes to here. And then your high-speed shaft is this guy right here. Your high-speed shaft is plugged into there. And this is hooked up to the transmission on the aircraft. So you got 20,900 RPM here, and up there on the top you got 265. Wow. So it's quite a gear reduction in that inside that main transmission.
Yeah.
Call it the 5-pack.
If you were to lose one engine, is it still capable to fly simply on one?
Yeah. Depending on how heavy you are and how much fuel you got on board, all those types of things, how hot it is outside. All of those things are factors.
Yeah,
but yeah, it can fly on one engine. The cool thing about the gearbox is a 30-minute without oil run. Like you can take a round to the gearbox and lose all your oil, and still fly for 30 more minutes to get home.
Oh wow!
One time.
Yeah, once.
But yeah, that's about what we're doing.
All right, cool. But yeah, it's interesting to see. You know, obviously it all taken apart. You know, normally with just our 206 or 500s, we send our engines down to Louisiana. But to see it actually all taken apart, especially with the modular off, all that, get to see all that, I think that's actually really interesting. And to see, you know, kind of, because you have this kind of picture of what happens inside, and you kind of get more of that image when you take it off, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, you could take the power turbine module off one and put it on another. You could take the accessory box off and put it on another cold section, inlet. Very user friendly. Yeah. Compared to some of the other stuff I work on.
Thank you very much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more videos throughout the hangar, seeing more what we do here on everything aircraft related.